Good evening, everybody, and welcome once again to round 15 of the ILR F1 2019 PC Championship. And today we are taken to the Marina Bay circuit, to the country of Singapore, to Southeast Asia, and to these 5.06 kilometers of the Marina Bay circuit, right on the streets of the city-state of Singapore. Two of the three world's existing city-states have a Grand Prix, so it's Monaco, Singapore. The only one missing is Vatican City, which of course not probably going to be a good place for F1 Grand Prix, but nonetheless, let's get started with our ninth race here in the city. 23 turns compose each lap. It's going to be 31 laps facing the drivers today, so plenty of focus is going to be had, of course, to the RS zones, heading overtaking opportunities as well, so this one should definitely be an exciting race. In terms of the standings, Shadow still leads the championship with an 108 points lead over Lehman, who follows in P2 in the best of the Williams. P3 is occupied by Kruzix in the best Red Bull, followed by Plexits, the second Renault, and Infamous closing the top 5. After that, we have Iceman in P6 and Dinator with 83 points in P7. Then iCurly in P8 separates the second McLaren from the first one in P9, and then JSR, the second best reserve, completes the top 10. Moving to the constructor standings, we have Renault still leading the championship with a 185 point lead, followed by the Woking-based McLaren with 144, dethroning Alfa Romeo, bumping them down to P3. 2 points behind us. Racing Point is also right on the edge of that battle with 1 point of distance to P3. Williams follows in 5th with 135 points, 3 ahead of the Red Bull boys in Milton Keynes, followed by Mercedes, Haas, then Ferrari and Toro Rosso as they complete the standings. So with that, we can get ourselves started with our session, just getting everything sorted out in my second monitor, as Shadow tells us that it is a dry race today, which, even though I was definitely excited to see a bit of rain going on, but I guess we're going to deal we are going to not be able to see that. By the way, I just have a thing to do in my second monitor, because unfortunately today things ran a little bit later than usual, so I actually cannot, I cannot do the thing I wanted, because the game goes into pause mode. So okay, I guess I'm not going to know for sure. I'm not going to get the complete information from the drivers who are taking part of the Grand Prix, so I needed that and that. Okay, so let's get ourselves started, as there are some of our drivers already on their laps. They're currently on the hard tires at the moment, so let's see how that one develops, as Black Panther is currently on his flying lap. I do believe there are drivers closer to the end of their laps. Let's take a look at Gelbovan. He's behind. We have Iceman a bit further back, I believe, as well. Yeah, we have one of the Ferraris, the only Ferrari today, Jax FO, one of our reserves, currently getting himself through the third sector. I'm not sure. I do believe he's the first one out of this group of cars that are on their flying laps. Let's see how it goes for the British driver. He's going to get himself a lap time done. Shadow is the first one to cross the line with a 137.5. Jax FO, quite a bit far away from him, unfortunately, as we have Black Panther moving up to P2. Iceman is going to follow him. Bird moves to P2 as well. Iceman is going to follow him, and okay, guess he just started. No, he got his lap invalidated, unfortunately. Gelbovan is going to be up next. He's going to cross over the line, 139, and it is Superior GR on the softs with a 140, followed by his teammate, who does even worse. Kaibashimi then follows out to 142.4, who is going to start a lap of his own, as I guess he aborted this previous one. Lormans, where is he? He's about to cross the line. Let's see what number 25 does. He's going to cross over the line. 139.1 gets him up to 4th place so far. Let's see where are the others. Blitzkrieg just started his lap. We had someone complete the lap. Couldn't quite catch who it was. Let's see what Rocky does. Is getting himself through the line. P3 for the time being with 138.2. So not too far behind from a Bird, our Mercedes driver. And Marky Mark is still in the pits. Our reserve driver driving for the Mercedes today. We have Iceman, who is going on for another lap. Kruzix aborted his lap as well, and looks like he made another mistake right on his second lap, because he's already on mode 0 of ERS. Andinator on the same boat, and Blitzkrieg is going to complete his lap. So let's see how it goes for him. He's carrying himself through the hairpin of turn number 13, getting himself through the bridge now up to corner number 14, and is going to be finishing sector number 2, starting now sector number 3. Let's see how it goes. Bit of a tighter sequence of corners now, plenty of chicanes from turns 16, 17, then another chicane of 18, 19 and 20, 21 before taking himself through the quick double apex left-hander, which officially are actually 2 corners, corner number 22 and 23 of these layouts. He does them nicely. Let's see what it goes, and it is 6th place for the time being from him. Iceman in the meantime got himself a 137.9, so he propels his Alfa Romeo to the 2nd spot in the timetables. In the meantime, Kruzix and Andinator complete their laps, but they've all been invalidated, so they are going to take another crack at it from the looks of things. Also have Marky Mark finally on an outlap, trying to find himself some clean air, trying to avoid the traffic as much as he can, even though that might compromise him, that might reduce the amount of time he has to make the same amount of runs as his rival. Nonetheless, he's going to get started on the hards for the time being. In the meantime, we have Andinator and Kruzix actually want to take a look at... Ooh, we have yellow flags up ahead. And try to figure out who that is, as Shadow actually improves with 137.2. So slight improvement there from our championship leader. Where is Andinator? Andinator is further up the order, or further up the road. He's going to take his car to the pits. Afraid he doesn't want to run out of fuel. Kruzix, on the other end, is carrying on, and he does pole. Look at that, brilliant lap, 137.0, fastest out of the hard runners. Very, very good lap from him. Takes himself to the top. The thing is, he might be running out of fuel, and that is going to be in for a very, very slow in lap. So Marky Mark is going to start his lap, so let's go on board with him. He's getting ourselves up through turn number 1, about 100 meters away from the corner, drops down to 4th gear, right hand king of turn 2, gets himself into turn 3. Superior GR needs to get the hell out of the way as quickly as possible, as gets up through the gears now on the run into turn number 5. Quick right-hander, you need to get the traction out of it smoothly down, because you need the best exit possible through the second DRS zone. As Kaibashimi is in the wall, unfortunately for him, fortunately for Marky Mark, that didn't affect his lap as he finishes sector number 1. Now starting sector number 2 with turns number 8 and the left-hander of 9, who almost collided with the wall on the outside. That was not the greatest approach, as he gets now to the Singapore Sling. Turn number 10 leading into the chicane of 11 and 12, a bit wide on the exit of 11, but he gets away nicely, hard on the brakes now for turn number 13, getting now through the Anderson Bridge, up through the gears all the way to about that black box. Sorry, no, actually about 90 meters away from turn number 14. You go on the brakes. Now left king of turn 15, setting up the approach to the chicane of 16 and 17, a bit wide on the transition there. That's bound to cost him a couple tenths as he gets under the grandstands now. Very unique feature of the circuits through corners 18 and 19, now 20 and 21. Let's see how it goes up through the gears. Let's see the full commitment from these drivers to turns 22 and 23 as he gets himself through the line, and it is P6 for him for the time being. A 138.4 lap on those hards. Gets him 6th place at the moment. Meantime, we have Superior GR also just started the lap. Ooh, that's... Was that not a nullification? That surprises me. If it wasn't a nullification, as the Toro Rosso driver clearly went over the curb with all 4 tires at turn number 2. Maybe he's just trying to get some practice laps under his belt nonetheless. So, let's see how that one goes at the end for him. Bird has started his lap as well. Currently about to finish sector number 1. Let's see what he does. And I got the outlap glitch once again. It's not an outlap. He's actually on a flying lap. But I guess Codemasters doesn't want to give me that information. As we have Blitzkrieg in the time being and Black Panther, both of them pushed Marky Mark down to P8. So improvements there from the both reserve drivers. Both Black Panther and Marky Mark are reserves for today. Blitzkrieg is a full-time driver for the Williams, the German driver who made his debut with the 6th place at the British Grand Prix. Since then, his only best result was at Italy with an 8th place finish. Between them, 2 11th place finishes and a DNF. So hopefully can start a streak of points paying positions at the end of the races for the Williams driver, because of course that Williams is trying still, that Williams team is still trying to fight for P2 in the championship. It is within reach, but of course it's going to be a very feisty battle on that midfield, as Bird gets himself the fastest lap so far, 135.3 on the medium set of tires. Very nice lap from him. Superior GR in the meantime got his lap invalidated, probably because of sector number 1. Is going to go for another attempt. And we also have a few drivers on their out laps. So let's take a look at that, as Rocky on his 5th lap on the hards promotes himself up to P4. We have Corporal Carrot, who is in the 3rd sector at the moment. J. Cole just came out of the pits. We have Iceman on an outlap through the 2nd sector, and Shadow is currently in the 3rd sector as well through the final chicane. So we're going to follow. Where was he? I lost him. Was it? No, it wasn't Superior GR. I don't remember who it was. So yeah, let's stick with it. Let's stick with Shadow for the time being. I swear to God, there's another driver who started his flying lap, but I probably got the outlap glitch. But it is what it is. Let's see what Shadow does. As I hope he's going to improve. Well, Bill, I do believe it is Singaporean. I do believe that's the word for something that's from Singapore. If it's not, correct me, please. Of course, English is not my mother language, so some words do escape my knowledge. Shadow, though, getting himself through the 2nd sector, getting himself through the left-hander of turn 9. Up to the gears now, about 50 meters away from the Singapore Sling, turn number 10. Much simpler rather than in the days of old. I really enjoyed the double chicane, but it is what it is, I guess. The FIA didn't quite enjoy it. He gets himself through the Anderson Bridge, up through the gears until 90 meters away from turn number 13, I believe this is, sorry, 14 actually. He's getting himself now to the left hand of 15 and the chicane of 16, 17, using the inside curb for better rotation, as you usually do if you want to gain the most time possible. That touch on the inside curb probably wasn't welcome. You can get a bit of freedom with cutting the curbs through these last chicanes. Let's see, mode 4 of ERS, full commitment through these last 2 corners, going to open the ERS, cross over the line, P2 for the time being, but only just over a 10 separating him from P1. Iceman in the meantime is also on his lap, improving by 7/10 at the moment as he starts sector number 3. Let's see what the Alfa Romeo driver does. Currently in P5, Iceman, who has had not the greatest run of results, DNF at Belgium and 7th place at Italy. So unfortunately for him, 12th place at Italy. Yeah, 7th place at Italy was Kaibashimi. But yeah, Iceman DNF and 7th place, and he makes his way up to P3 for the time being. 1 second slower over a second slower than the top two, which is quite unfortunate to see, as we have just over 3 minutes left in this qualifying session. We have Gelbavand in the sector number 2, so let's take a look at him later on. J. Cole is further up the field, or further up the track, about to complete a lap of his own. Let's see what the British driver does. J. Cole, who also had a bit of a drop in form in the last 2 races, still in the points though, and moves himself up to P3. Look at that, very close lap time to Iceman, just edges him to get that last of the podium paint positions, or the first of the second row positions for the grid. Gelbavand is going to be the next one to cross over the line. Let's see what he's capable of doing. Is improving quite a bit at this moment. Let's see what the number 9 does, as our reserve driver of the Haas, driving today for the Haas in the absence of Entity. Let's see what he does. He's currently faster than Kaibashimi. Let's see what he does. Up to P6 goes the German. And we have Ferrari, that's Jax FO, who just started his flying lap. After that, we have, I believe, Blitzkrieg. He's currently in sector number 2. We have Black Panther also in sector number 2, so he's behind Blitzkrieg. So Blitzkrieg is going to be completing his lap first. We do have a bunch of drivers now on their out laps. But first of all, let's see how the guys currently in their own out laps do. As we have Kruzix currently in P3, J. Cole demoted to P4, so good lap from Kruzix there, only almost exactly a 10 separating him from P2. Blitzkrieg aborts his lap, so we're going to have, who was it? Black Panther, I believe. Yeah, Black Panther is going to be the one crossing over the line. It's going to be P4 for him with a 136.6, but clearly a gap between the top 3 and everybody else. Jax FO, let's see where he is. Sector 2 for the time being. Blitzkrieg actually retires from the session. Lormans is also in sector number 2. Jax FO, I believe, is further up. Yes, he's closer to the end of his lap. So it's Jax FO, Lormans, then Kaibashimi and Andy Nater. And after that, it's going to be Rocky, who is currently on a hot lap. I'm not sure if he has enough time. Shadow does get pole with a 135.3 on 3 laps old medium, so I'm not sure if that's not going. I'm not sure if that's going to be the best strategic option from him. Nonetheless, Jax FO does complete the lap, moves him up to a P9 with a 138.1. Lormans is going to be up next. Let's see what the 25 driver does. The Dutch driver of the Racing Point, a DNF at Italy with a 13th place at Belgium. He does get P7 at the moment as the checkered flag is shown to him. We have Kaibashimi and Andy Nater up next. Andy Nater is going to be finishing his lap before the Haas driver, as looks like it is raining. Is it raining at the moment? Yes, it is. It is raining at the moment. There's some drops of rain dropping over the Singaporean layout as Andy Nater does move to P4. Brilliant lap from him, especially considering the track is probably slower now as the rain is coming down. Kaibashimi will not benefiting from this one bit. Let's see how he does though. He's getting himself through the last couple corners. He's going to be pushing the hell out of that car to try to get himself a spot in the top 10. Let's see how it goes. He crosses over the line. P10! Right on the edge of it. And up next we have Rocky, and Marky Mark will be following him. So Rocky is currently carrying himself through the last corner. He's already derating, not gonna help him. Nonetheless, does get P5, 136.1, fastest out of the 136 drivers. Demotes Kaibashimi to outside of the top 10, unfortunately. So Kaibashimi is beaten by his reserve teammate today. Marky Mark, though, also on a reserve drive, does get himself P11, gets Kaibashimi down to a P12. So very good lap there from Marky Mark, considering the circumstances. Of course, it is raining at the moment. Checks FO, is he going to improve now? He's coming to the pits. So I do believe this is it for everyone. This is it for everyone. And yeah, it is qualifying session over. So Shadow, our championship leader, is on pole for the Singapore Grand Prix. Very nicely done from him. Let's just wait for everything to end. Let's wait for the game to realize it's over. Let's see how it goes, though. Let's see how it goes. I do believe it's going to be a medium to hard strategy around here if the race is completely dry. I do not recall the laps at which you pit, but I do believe it is a medium to hard strategy, as we have Shadow and Bird separated by 13 thousandths of a second. Look at that. Cruisix in P3, Andinator P4, Rocky in P5, Black Panther in P6, followed by J. Cole in P7, Iceman in P8, Lormans P9, and Gelbovand closes the top 10. Marky Mark in P11, followed by Kaibashimi, Jax FO in P13, Blitzkrieg in P14, Corporal Carrot in 15th, and Superior GR in P16. So not showing signs of the greatest of performances here today, unfortunately. So I'm just going to wait for the game to transition to the start of the Grand Prix in a second. Thank you very much, video game. And it is a dry start. I do believe it's going to be dry the entirety of the race. And let's see what tires the drivers outside of the top 10 are going to choose to get done with it. I do believe it is a medium to hard strategy, or a hard to medium. Easily a one-stop. It is, though, one of the longest races of the entire season, because despite it having the same amount of laps, sorry, not the same amount of laps, but approximately the same distance per lap as Spa-Francorchamps, it is a much slower lap, so the time per lap is bigger, and it also has more laps. So yeah, it is a very, very long Grand Prix. Let's get ourselves our data, though. And as you can see, everyone in the top 10 starting on mediums. Of course, the tires, they set their lap times on, or their best lap times on. Marky Mark also on the hards as he occupies P11. Kaibashimi is starting on the mediums, though. Despite starting outside of the top 10, it's still a fresh set of mediums. Jax FO, Blitzkrieg, and both Toro Rossos also opting for the hards. Of course, they will have the advantage later on the race, but in this sort of track, I do not agree with the reverse one-stop for one simple reason. Yes, you will have the quickest car later on the race, but you are also getting undercuts, and you are not only losing time through the entirety of the first stint because you are on harder tires, especially in a street circuit where traction does matter a lot, lots of slow corners, lot of important traction zones. So by racing on a harder compound, you are hindering yourself. You are theoretically lapping slower due to the hard tire. Of course, it depends on the skill of each driver, but you guys know what I mean, I guess. Yeah, you are not only lapping slower for the entirety of the first stint, you are also getting undercut. So those laps while you are getting undercut, you are losing even more time than what you would otherwise. So I do not agree with the reverse strategy in street circuits. But let's see how it goes. If there is some sort of chaos, some sort of battling for position throughout the top 10, and the hard tire starters do keep themselves out of trouble, then that might become an advantage, yes. But yeah, let's see how it goes, as we have Shadow going to get on his designated spot. He's going to get P1, not the shortest one to the first corner from pole, but also not the longest. It is important to have good acceleration out of it, or you might get gobbled through the field. As we get ourselves Corporal Carrot, Superior GR, and Blitzkrieg getting themselves to the right hand side of the screen, to their designated spots. And there you have it. The calm before the storm, as we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go for the Singapore Grand Prix. Great start from both Toro Rossos at the back. Also good start from Shadow, and Bird and Inator takes the inside of Cruisix as he's going to take now the better line through turns 2 and 3. Taking the outside, he's going to maintain P3. There's a bit of chaos at the back as Inator in P4, Black Panther P5, Rocky demoted down to P6, Iceman it drops down to P7. Rocky is trying to get back at the Alfa Romeo. There's a battle for the lead as well as Shadow loses out to Bird. It's going to be a drag battle now as we approach turn number 4. I believe this is turn number 5. Shadow tries to hold it around the outside, does not put the throttle down as early as he wanted. He's going to have to concede P1. So looking further back, it is Bird in first, Shadow P2, Cruisix P3, and Inator P4, Rocky P5, Iceman P6, Black Panther P7, J. Cole in P8, Lormans P9, and Blitzkrieg. What an amazing start from him. Already up to P10. As is followed by Superior Jack, FO, and Marty Mark going for a scrap as well. So Marty Mark does get through the Ferrari. Kai Bashimi and Gelbavand start at P10 and P12, and they have already been demoted to the last 2 spots of the grid. Copper Carrot, unfortunately, has retired from the sessions. We have yellow flags once again. Kai Bashimi has a go at his teammate. He does not get through, I believe. Yes, Kai Bashimi has pretty severe damage on his front wing. Superior GR was the cause of that yellow flag, but looks like everything is sorted out. Superior GR also has considerable amounts of damage on the front wing of his Toro Rosso, so pretty disastrous start of the race to both Toro Rossos and the Haas cars. Now, looks like everything is normalized as Inator is having a go at Cruisix. No, the gap was just trolling me there for a second. The gap is definitely not 88 thousandths of a second. Well, it is what it is. Shadow is going to hunt down Bird. He's going to take the slipstream. Not that there's much of it to be had at the moment. The gaps are definitely not as shown on the screen, as I do believe there's about half a second already between Bird and Shadow. Cruisix in P3, as he's been for a lot of this season. Not gonna lie, he's been sitting himself just short of a win for most of the season. His best finishing position is 2nd place, as he got twice at France and Hungary. Hasn't been able to get the win just yet. He is occupying P3 in the championship, so at least he's consistently in the top 5. Unfortunately, just never enough for the win. And is also from the outside looking at Bird, pulling away from Shadow, as he cannot overtake Shadow just yet in these opening laps. And Inator in P4, separating both Red Bulls. He's doing his best job at the moment, as he's bouncing back from disappointingly DNF at the Italian Grand Prix. We even restarted the race due to technical issues, but still, and Inator twice in a row got the lights out glitch, where everyone gets lights out but he does not, and he was on pole and he got DNF'd right at the start, right? So he got disqualified for being parked in the spot. So yeah, pretty unfortunate stuff, but he is at least bouncing back with the P4 at the moment. His teammate J. Cole down to P8. Black Panther pressurizing Iceman. That one I wasn't expecting. The Belgium driver is pressurizing his fellow Belgian driver. So the reserve behind the full-time driver, giving him a run for his money. The number 2 pressurizing the number 12. A bit of a lockup there from Black Panther, but Iceman is going to keep his 6th place for the time being. Maybe they could swap positions, since it looks like Iceman is more comfortable, but that's not what's happening at the moment. Let's see how that one develops. Cruisix, he might be able to take advantage of the fact that Shadow is already not in the RS range, so Bird has been more comfortable in these early laps of the race. Shadow does have a lot of his energy missing. That indicates that he's been pushing and he's still been losing time to Bird. So Bird is just... Oh, Bird has a collision with the wall for him, and he's missing that right-hand end plate on his front wing. So that's going to hinder him a little bit. He's going to definitely be losing time Oh, there's contact between Iceman and Black Panther, I believe. I'm not sure if that was necessarily contact between them. But, oh, and Jax FO is out of the Grand Prix. Iceman is going to take his car to the pits. Let's try to find out what happens to Jax FO. Not sure if there was contact with the teammates. The truth of the matter is, Iceman is going to the pits with heavy damage on his front wing. So Kaibashimi, of course, he had to pit to replace his front wing, so is really far behind. But just trying to figure out at what spot was the car of Jax FO once he retired. And I do believe it was right at this corner. Maybe he outbraked himself. Yeah, looks like he outbraked himself and slammed into the wall, ending his race this way. Unfortunately, let's see how it goes as Bird is already losing the time. Look at that. The damage on his front wing is really hurting his pace. As Shadow, he is already on the back of him, and now is leading a very, very big train, because Andy Nater is right on the back of Kruzix, and Rocky, who was losing out to the remaining cars of the top 5 up until now. If Bird continues to plug his rivals up, Rocky might be joining the party. It might be a 5-way battle for a P1. In the meantime, we have Black Panther getting closely chased by J. Cole, so J. Cole is really putting the pressure on the Belgian driver of the Alfa Romeo. Let's see how that one develops later on. Shadow still putting the pressure on Bird. Let's see how it goes for the British driver of the Mercedes. Shadow is going to get himself up to the gears. He's definitely... Oh, Bird opts to go into the pits. Bird just knows he's losing too much time. Kruzix goes very wide. He's going to take the slipstream and the DRS. Shadow does have DRS, so he doesn't have the slipstream, but he does have DRS. That's just enough to allow him to be ahead. Bird is going to switch for a set of hard tires. Let's see how it goes now as Kruzix. This might be Kruzix's opportunity to take the win. His first win of the season. Let's see how it goes. He's going to take the slipstream. DRS, mode 4 of ERS. Looks like he's really having a tough time keeping up with Shadow, or actually like closing into Shadow. Maybe Shadow has less wing. Ooh, a bit of a lockup there from the Renault driver. But yeah, Kruzix, I thought he was going to have an easier time blowing past Shadow. That is not the case at the moment. At least Kruzix does have a massive advantage in terms of ERS, and Nater in P3 also allowing himself to save ERS since he has the double slipstream and the DRS as well. So he's allowing himself to just save the battery. Rocky, with all of these battling, has allowed himself to get to P4. Black Panther now breaches top 5, kept himself ahead of J. Cole, but Lormans in the distance might very well start closing in on the duo in front. Blitzkrieg, though, since the start he qualified second last, I believe, second or third last. He's already up to P8, so brilliant start from Blitzkrieg, keeping himself out of trouble, and already in P8 he's going to have the advantageous circumstances towards the end of the race, but once again he's going to get undercut massively. So let's see how that one goes. Fortunately for him, what he needed to happen is actually happening, because the quickest car on track, that was Bird, has shot himself in the foot, and the other drivers in top 5 are battling. So this is exactly what Blitzkrieg needed in order to pull off his strategy with the best chances of winning. We are going on board now with Andy Nater, as Rocky is just a couple seconds behind, a couple tenths behind. Kruzix is finally getting their ass and slips him on Shadow, but once again he just cannot pull the trigger enough to blow past him, as J. Cole finally pulls the trigger on Black Panther, forces the Alfa Romeo wide, is now going to take the inside approach. Ooh, that was close between the two of them, but very clean, very respectful driving between both of them, and Black Panther, unfortunately for him, cannot maintain his P5, but at least it was a very clean maneuvering, a very clean battle between both of them, which is what we like to see. He's not going to give up though, still within a second of the McLaren ahead of him. Lormans though has been able to get himself within a second, so he's definitely going to be joining that party in the next DRS zone. As we go to Kruzix, as the top 3 have pulled away from Rocky. Rocky is definitely not able to keep up with the top 3, and they are all going to be battling it out for P1 in the next couple laps. Let's see how it goes. This looks like Kruzix had a worse third sector than Shadow. Nonetheless, is going to have mode 5 to dispose of. He's going to have the slipstream, the DRS. Shadow, a little bit of waviness there. Not sure if that's exactly the more sportsmanlike of positions to take, but it is what it is. Kruzix is going to be hunting down the Renault as Galbovan gets past Marky Mark, as Marky Mark is getting himself to the pits to a replacement of tires and possibly of front wing. 6 tenths separating Kruzix from Shadow, not enough for an overtaking attempt to be had. So Andy Nater was also at the same distance from P2 than P2 was to Shadow. So no overtaking attempts at the moment. Black Panther was also too far away to challenge for an overtaking maneuver. Iceman does take advantage of the fact Marky Mark is pitting to climb himself up to P11. Bird is back into the top 10, 10 seconds away from Gilbavand in a P9. Lormans lost out in this sector, maybe a mistake from him. 1 second away. I'm going to try. The camera angle isn't necessarily helping me, but I would like to see if he has damage. No, he doesn't have damage, and Gilbavand is out of the race. Virtual safety car is out, as Gilbavand is out of the Grand Prix. I wanted to know, oh, it just got wide there on the transition between turns 11 and 12 and planted himself on the wall. I'm curious to see if the front runners are able to take advantage of this. Virtual safety car is still in place. Are they going to the pits? Are they going to switch for medium tires? And looks like they are. Shadow, sorry, switching for hard tires. Shadow is going to the pits, Kruzix to the pits, Animated to the pits. Now, I am not sure if the hards can take them to the end. The safety car has come back in, or the virtual safety car has come back in. J. Cole inherits the lead of the Grand Prix. Black Panther in P2, Lormans P3, Blitzkrieg P4 now. Shadow in P5 as you have Rocky also coming into the pits, even though he's not going to benefit as much from the virtual safety car period. But Shadow is the leader out of that group, with Kruzix in P6, Sandinator right on the back of him. So Shadow gaining a lot of time to Kruzix on that pit stop. Yeah, look at that, 2 seconds separating them. And now Andy Nater, this might be his chance to pull the trigger on him. Let's see how it goes. Looks like Andy Nater also didn't get to the quickest exit of the pit lane. Marky Mark over the... Iceman is back into the pits. Iceman is back into the pits. So his day goes from bad to worse. Very unfortunate stuff we are witnessing at the moment. Blitzkrieg climbs up to P4. But yeah, that's going to be the thing. As I do believe... yeah, well, Blitzkrieg is going to be getting undercut by the remaining drivers, and Blitzkrieg is going to take these tires for a very long time. But I'm not sure when these medium runners are going to start pitting. I'm not sure if the hards are going to be taken until the end. I do believe they are supposed to pit at about lap 15 and then take the hards the remaining laps home. So let's see how it goes as Black Panther gets himself in the wall. Damage in the front wing of the Alfa Romeo, and that allows J. Cole to push even further. Lormans is going to be held up by Black Panther a little bit. He's going to get to DRS, he's going to take the slipstream. Black Panther does not go into the pits, but look at the speed difference, the cornering speed. That's a very fast corner, the last corner. So the aerodynamic support is very needed, and just that end plate missing took a lot of the cornering ability from Black Panther, and that really maximized the speed difference from Lormans between the last corner all the way through the start-finish straights. Lormans has already pulled away almost a second on Black Panther, so you can see how much effective his car is compared to the damaged front wing in Black Panthers, how big of an impact that is in a circuit like this one. So Black Panther is going to try to nurse that one without losing too much time to his rivals, even though he's already 1 second away from the racing point. Blitzkrieg is also going to catch up rather quickly to the Belgian driver of the Alfa Romeo, and Shadow has already gained something like 2.5 seconds to Blitzkrieg. So very, very fast pace from him. Bird still has to pit one more time. I'm pretty sure that Bird needs to pit one more time. So he's going to take it at the moment. Just 1.5 seconds away from Endinator. He was the fastest driver on track, so he can still try to catch up to the McLaren, especially as that group that was from P1 to P4 has spread out a little bit. Bird can take advantage of the fact that he was the fastest one out there to get out. To get close to them and start overtaking them. Strax FO says that there was a piece of wall on the circuit and it killed you under the grandstand. That does happen. That is a glitch. It is pretty common in Singapore. Not sure what, don't know what causes it, but there are a few places that are the most common spots for that glitch to happen. It's under the grandstands and it is turn number 6. The right-hander of turn number, is it 6? No, it's turn number 8, sorry. The right-hander of turn 8, usually on the exit on the outside. That wall also comes into the circuit. So yeah, and sometimes it even becomes invisible. So yeah, the Singapore walls are really glitchy in this game. So unfortunately, he took out Chex FO from the race. Fortunately, no one else got collected in that one. So we still have a race going on as J. Cole has pulled away from Lormans. J. Cole is really pushing at the moment, taking full advantage of his medium tires as Lormans is losing time and over Fist. 3.4 seconds now separate the top two, with Blitzkrieg, who has already overtaken Black Panther, who in the meantime came into the pits. He just was losing too much time. Iceman, 3-second time penalty. Black Panther comes out in P9 from the pits, so not all is bad from him. 6 seconds away from Rocky, as Bird doesn't look like he's really catching up to Endinator, so they are lapping at similar pace. Let's see how that one goes, as Kruzix did get a better second sector, and he gained about 2 to 3 tenths on Shadow. Shadow is closing in on Blitzkrieg, and you can see there how much quicker Shadow took that last corner than Blitzkrieg. You can see the confidence on the driving of the Renault. We're actually going on board with him, but you can actually see the how much more confident Shadow is on the approach to these corners, due to the fact that he has fresher tires and therefore more grip in them. He's really gaining time very quickly on Blitzkrieg, and Blitzkrieg is actually going to let him go. Blitzkrieg is actually going to slow down and let him go, which is quite surprising. Blitzkrieg is actually letting everyone go. He's letting... Wow, that is rather surprising to see from him. Maybe he just wants the points. He has had a couple bad results, but yeah, that is what it is. I guess he's just trying to get the points. It was the perfect opportunity for him to back up his rivals, especially since they might be needing to pit again for softs towards the end of the race, and he only has to pit once. Allowing them to pull away is not the thing to do, but it is what it is. Let's see how it develops from here on out, as Endinator Endinator did not overtook Kruzix. Kruzix did get closer to Shadow though. Let's see how it goes, as Kruzix might start to get slipstream and DRS from Shadow. Let's see how it goes now through this last corner. And yes, he's going to start to get slipstream and DRS. Lormans and J. Cole get themselves back into the pits. So it is Shadow back to the lead of the Grand Prix. Kruzix P2 and Endinator P3, Bird in P4, Blitzkrieg P5, J. Cole and Normans P6 and P7. Rocky is going to be jumping them pretty soon, I'm sure. J. Cole, it's going to be close between Rocky and J. Cole. And J. Cole actually keeps himself ahead of Rocky, so massive undercut there from Rocky. Not quite working out. The virtual safety car the pit stop under the virtual safety car, not really helping Rocky, or maybe Rocky is just not comfortable under these hards, even though he's close enough to get the slipstream, to get to DRS. He's going for mode number 4 of DRS. He's going to be pushing to the inside of turn number 6. He does take the inside line, forces J. Cole a bit wide, and takes the position. P6 for Rocky. J. Cole tries to find a bit of daylight to stick his McLaren in, trying to retaliate there. Wasn't successful in that one, so he's going to get demoted down to P7. Lormans maybe has disconnected because this car is ghosted at the moment. And he has damage? No, he doesn't have damage. But his car is ghosted, so he probably disconnected, unfortunately. So, Shadow has had a better lap than Kruzix, though, because Kruzix is back to being away from the DRS range. And IndyILR has actually closed in on the Red Bull on these previous laps. So, yeah, a bit spread out these three cars. I would really enjoy to see them much closer. But, yeah, that really doesn't help people like Blitzkrieg, because he needs them to battle. Especially if these hard runners are going to be pitting later on. We definitely know that Blitzkrieg needs to. But yeah, these medium runner, the top 3 pitted at lap 7. So it is rather interesting to me to see if the yards are going to the end on their cars. Let's see how it goes. J. Cole in the meantime trying to catch back up to Rocky. Not necessarily successful in that. Looks like Rocky is slightly quicker than him. He's already got a gap of half a second, just over half a second. J. Cole is going to take the slipstream and DRS, but he's running out of battery charge, so he's going to have to really save it in the laps to come. At least he keeps himself within a second of Rocky, so that allows him to save ERS while keeping himself on the DRS and the slipstream, which is not that bad. At least he's in the best position possible for someone that needs to recharge his battery. But let's see how that one develops, as we have yellow flags in sector number 3. And I'm not sure that might have been. I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, I'm not sure that might have been. The situation has been cleared though. So it is what it is. J. Cole very close to Rocky at this point as they approach now turn number 14. And the end of sector number 2. So we might see some battling into turn number 1. Kruzix has had a better third sector than Shadow, and Shadow went very slowly, especially out of that last corner. Kruzix is pushing. He might have an opportunity now to take the lead. We are going on board with him. Just going to take a brief look at J. Cole. Is he going to take a move on Rocky? Looks like he's too far away. Possibly a move into turn number 5. But yeah. Not exactly right now. Let's say it goes to turn number 7 for these drivers. Kruzix too far away. He's not able to make a move done just yet. Let's see J. Cole hunting down Rocky. Up to the gears, DRS and the slipstream. Superior GR has left the session, unfortunately for him. So maybe a disconnection issue with him. But J. Cole is also not able to get past the Red Bull. And IndyILR has also been losing time to the Red Bull of Kruzix, so both McLarens are trying to hunt down a Red Bull, but the Red Bull looks like it's just a bit too far, or a bit too quick for them, at least at this point in the Grand Prix. And soon we'll have Blitzkrieg pit. I would say Blitzkrieg pits at lap 20. Yeah, I would say he pits at about lap 20. And then takes the remaining laps on the mediums, and then it's going to be very fast, especially because these top 4 have pitted very early. They are going to have more tire wear on their hard tires than usual, so especially if they start battling. I really do believe that was a mistake from Blitzkrieg to let his rivals through that easily, because he really could have backed them up and then utilized the fact that he made them lose time to him, or they are not gaining as much time to him during the undercut that they are doing, to then really take advantage of that once he comes out of the pits again. But It is what it is. Blitzkrieg finally goes into the pits. He's going to take for a set of mediums. Yes, he goes. Oh, also a front wing replacement. So that's going to cost him a couple seconds. That's not going to help him. Nonetheless, looks like he's going to rejoin the track in the top 10. And now it's going to see... I would like to see him drive the wheels out of that thing. I would like to see him push as hard as he can. Let's see how that one goes. J. Cole, very close to Rocky, but he's not using it to get much battery back, as Rocky does get a 3-second time penalty, unfortunately for him. Kruzix and Shadow. Let's take a look. Shadow does have a bit less battery charge available as compared to Kruzix, even though the gap between the percentage of battery charge isn't too big at the moment. Not something really to write home about. It's 3% essentially, so nothing of a big deal. But Endinator has been allowed to close into these two. The gap has been 1.7 seconds, is now 1.4 essentially, so Endinator might still get a chance of scrapping it out for possibly the win. Let's see how it goes though. Kruzix 6 tenths away from Shadow, needs to be pushing out of this corner. He needs to be in mode 5 of ERS, because that's probably what Shadow is doing. Let's see how it goes. 4 tenths away from Shadow is he at the moment. Mode 4 of ERS. Shadow is doing the same. Kruzix, he's just taking his long time. Oh, Shadow! Shadow lets Kruzix through. And Blitzkrieg takes a penalty, which doesn't help his cause. But yeah, Shadow lets Kruzix through, and now he's going to be the one putting Kruzix under pressure. Maybe Kruzix should have just gone in mode 0 and just keep himself right behind Shadow. But yeah, Shadow has lost a second already to Kruzix. I'm going to try to figure out, does he have damage? I think he tried to just go on the brakes a little bit earlier to let Kruzix through, but I think he overdid it. And now the Red Bull has pulled off. The Red Bull might be on the way for his first win of the season. Let's see how it goes. He's already gotten 2 second place finishes. He has gotten himself 2 fourth place finishes. He's gotten himself 2 fifth place finishes. He's gotten himself 1 sixth place finish. And he's gotten himself 4 7th place finishes. Never a 3rd place, never a win. This could be a very important win from him, especially because the team really needs the points, especially with Mist Q not taking a part of this Grand Prix. So Endinator is now really close to the back of Shadow, and he might be able to overtake the Renault. Let's see how that one goes. Endinator has a bigger advantage in terms of ERS than Shadow and Kruzix had between each other. So Endinator is actually keeping himself to mode 0. So he's forcing Shadow to use his battery to try to pull away. Endinator is nullifying that with his slipstream and ERS. So he has less wing, or at least he has the same wings as Shadow maybe, because Kruzix is having a very, very tough time reaching the same speed at the same pace, at the same time, because probably you can reach the same speed just a bit slower. It looks to me like he has more downforce than Shadow, and that's why he's able to pull away now, as he has clean air in front of him and is able to navigate these more technical sectors easier because he has more downforce, right? So yeah, Kruzix might be on the cards for the win. He holds all of the cards. It's completely depending on him, his fate today. Let's see how that one goes. As he has been in previous races, he wasn't the quickest car out there on track, and he has been dependent on others making mistakes. Today, those others have made mistakes. Let's see if he can pull the trigger when the time comes. Let's see if he can step up to the occasion. Endinator still hunting down Shadow, forcing Shadow to deplete his battery charge. Endinator maintaining himself 6 tenths as we reach turn number 1. Let's see how it goes now. As I do believe 6 tenths is a bit too much. I do believe 4 tenths is the gap to have. if you want to overtake the car ahead. Yeah, it's 7 tenths for Andy Nater at the beginning of that straight. Shadow is already under 10%, Andy Nater has over 30%. So if there is a time to strike for Andy Nater, that time should be now. Then we have Bird, who has, since that collision with the wall, he hasn't been able to be as comfortable on the hards, so he's losing out immense space on those hards. He's really not comfortable in them, and he's 5 seconds away from the top 3. Rocky 14 seconds away from the British driver of the Mercedes. J. Cole has also unfortunately not been able to keep up with the Red Bull, and yeah, he's already 4 seconds away from the top 5. Black Panther, after his issues, is back to P7. Marky Mark in P8. Blitzkrieg in P9. He has gotten the fastest lap of the Grand Prix for 2 laps in a row now. So he's really pushing. He has already gotten through Lormans. He's trying to catch himself. Marky Mark is going to be pitting soon, so he's at least going to get that position for free. And it's going to be only him having to push to catch up to Black Panther. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to take the fight to Panther or J. Cole until the end of the race, as Bird takes a 3-second time penalty unfortunately for him. Let's follow the onboard of Andy Nater once again. Looks like he's much closer than before to Shadow. He should really just go on mode 5 of ERS coming out of turn number 3 just to get himself a good exit. He's 5 tenths away from Shadow now, but again it's not enough. Bird goes into the pits again and is going to swap for a set of medium tires. He wants at least the fastest lap points. J. Cole also goes into the pits, maybe to respond to Bird. Not sure what's exactly going on there. Let's see. Is front wing replacements for the McLaren. So Blitzkrieg gets that position for free. Marky Mark is going to pit soon, so Blitzkrieg is going to take that position as well, move up to P7. Yes, to P7. Black Panther, we told that, climbs up to P5, Rocky to P4. But yeah, I'm really surprised by the amount of time Kruzix has gained on Shadow since that overtake that Kruzix did on the Renault, especially since the Renault doesn't have front wing damage, unless that's a visual glitch from me, and the Renault does have front wing damage. We just cannot see it. But yeah, it is. I am curious as to why Shadow has lost that much time. Kruzix though, 11 laps to go. He needs to keep pushing. Nothing is won just yet. 2 seconds separates the top 2, and of course he just needs to get a track extension penalty to throw all his efforts away. Andy Nater, 7 tenths away. He needs to be more aggressive. He needs to use more of his ERS. He needs to be closer by turn 1 to be able to bring the fight to Shadow. Because at this point, he's actually allowing Shadow. Shadow goes to mode 4, but then he goes back to mode 0 earlier than he probably should have if Andy Nater was putting pressure on Shadow properly. Andy Nater doesn't need to save much ERS at this point. He has the advantage he needs. He can overtake Shadow, then go on a hot lap essentially, just push for a lap with mode 5. Shadow cannot respawn. Shadow would be losing at least a second on that lap. If Andy Nater, in the upcoming lap, if Andy Nater overtakes Shadow and then continues using mode 5 of ERS for the entirety of the lap, Shadow won't be able to respawn. So a bit of a missed opportunity there from the McLaren driver. As the McLaren drivers do need the points for the Constructors' Championship, and of course for their own Drivers' Championship, but yeah, they do not have the second place locked down. They are only 2 points away from Alfa Romeo and 3 points away from Williams, I believe that is. So yeah, they do not have that one locked down one bit. Black Panther though has dropped the place to Bird. Marky Mark has pitted as well, so Blitzkrieg does move up to P7. 11 seconds though separating them. J. Cole overtakes Lormans, as Lormans is still ghosted, so I do believe Lormans is not going to get awarded the place finish. unless he comes back, is going to be declared DNF, and whoever finishes in P11 gets promoted. Bird with the fastest lap, so is really trying to get that extra point. Bird is 6 seconds away from Rocky, but given that he has been quicker than Rocky the entire time, and that he has a softer tire at this point, those 6 seconds might disappear rather soon. IndyILR losing time to Shadow in the past few laps, so is really allowing Shadow to breathe, which shouldn't be the case altogether. While we wait for something else to happen, let's take a look at the race director and take a look at the penalties for the top drivers. Kruzix has 2 warnings, so he's doing well to keep himself disciplined. Shadow only 2 warnings as well. IndyILR not even a warning. Pinpoint perfection from the the McLaren driver. Rocky, a penalty and 2 warnings. 2 penalties and 2 warnings actually. Bird with a penalty, with 2 penalties and a warning. Black Panther with a penalty. Blitzkrieg with a penalty as well. So it is what it is. Rocky just gets another penalty, or I'm not sure. I guess that was another penalty to him. So let's see. IndyILR 6 tenths away, 7 tenths away from Shadow, 8 even. Yeah, he's really. I'm not sure, man. He could mount an attack on P1, because the more he waits for Shadow, the more he allows Kruzix to also save his ERS. So yeah, he could be really putting the pressure on those two. He could be really fighting it out for the win. But yeah, just disappointing to see. But of course, the drivers do not have all the information as we do have. So, but it is a bit of a shame to see. Yellow flags in sector 2. I wonder who that is. Is that Rocky? Rocky is facing the wrong direction. That's a bit of a Vettel moment. He's getting disqualified if he doesn't stop that, I think. Okay, found safety in the runoff area. Got himself back to the track through turn 9 there. And he does have quite the damage on that left side of his front wing. So he's going to be taking that one back to the pits for a replacement. Unfortunately for the reserve driver, he's going to miss out on the top 5 for sure. Bird now has 23 seconds of clean air between him and IndyILR. Bird is the faster driver at the moment. Let's see how that one develops. Kaibashimi has gone into the pits recently as well. But oh, okay, he was ghosting because he was getting lapped. Okay, I was surprised there for a second. And Shadow got the RS. Shadow got the RS from Kaibashimi, which is interesting as well. A bit of a breathing room there for Shadow, at least this time around. He didn't need to use much DRS down that straight since he had the DRS. So a bit of a bubble of fresh air for Shadow as he's trying to keep himself away from IndyILR, who has all the resources but isn't quite able to keep Shadow more honest. 9 tenths now. This is getting dangerous for IndyILR to lose complete contact with Shadow. In the meantime, we had a swap positions as Rocky is overtaken by J. Cole. He's going to get overtaken by Lormans and Marky Marquez. Lormans is bound to get overtaken by the McLaren, of course, the ghost of the Racing Point. Marky Mark gains 2 positions in one corner, moving up to a P8. Not much else happening at the moment. Bird has gained actually 2 seconds on IndyILR. Do you imagine taking 20 seconds in about 8 laps? That would be pretty insane. I mean, Bird could really do it if he's pushing, because he was very comfortable on those mediums early on the race, and now the car is lighter and he has 4 times less laps on his tires than IndyILR. So he can really push, and especially since Andy isn't doing much to pressurize Shadow, he could potentially really close that gap. Let's see how then that one goes. Of course, the tires do deteriorate for Bird, so he's not going to be able to keep up that pace forever, but it would be interesting to see at what pace Bird closes the gap from here on out. Ooh, a touch on the barrier there. Fortunately, no damage for Andy Nater, but there was contact with that outside barrier on the exit of the left-hander of turn number 9. So, need to be wary of that one, because of course the wall does close in rather fast. You are supposed to use the full width of the track on that corner, but you are also not supposed to touch the inside curb, because the inside curb is pretty high, so if you touch that inside curb, your car gets a little bit wider. Yeah, that curb really does not help rotation at all. It's like all the curbs in the first sector at Baku. Like, you touch all of those curbs in the first sector, and you are just outright losing time, because they are very high. They just make the car not rotate as easily through the corner. So yeah, you are best by avoiding them. Aninator, 1.1 seconds. He got slipstream, sorry, he got DRS, but that might not be the case anymore. He's playing with fire, and yeah, I think he's out of DRS this time. Shadow has closed up to a back marker, that is the pure GR, and yep, no DRS for Aninator. Big mistake from him, and he's actually mode 0 of DRS. Yeah, that's big mistake from Aninator. He didn't pull the trigger when he could have, and now Shadow has enough breathing room to play with. Lormans gets overtaken by Rocky. Kaibashimi, is, if he finishes 11th, which it points towards, the situation of the race is pointing towards that, Kaibashimi is going to take P10, even if he does not beat Lormans on track, because Lormans is going to get awarded a DNF. J. Cole is also catching up to Blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg is also much closer to Black Panther than he once was, so those two are catching up to Black Panther. J. Cole is much faster at this point, obviously. Bird has gotten 3 seconds in the past few laps. 17 seconds is the gap now between him and Andy Nater. Shadow has closed in a slight bit, but nonetheless he is showing himself to be quicker at the moment than Kruzix. Kruzix trying to keep himself away. Andy Nater really missed an opportunity, and now he's going to pay the price, because Shadow is showing to be more comfortable at this point of the Grand Prix than the McLaren driver. Let's see how that one goes. Yeah, the field is quite spread out at this point. Aninator is the closest car to the car ahead at the moment. I do believe that one to change, as I do believe Rocky is quicker than Marky Mark, so that gap should be decreasing in the laps to come. J. Cole is also quicker than Blitzkrieg, so we might also have a battle, maybe a 3-wide battle for P5, as Blitzkrieg and J. Cole are collectively catching up to Black Panther. J. Cole is really catching up to Blitzkrieg, so by the time J. Cole catches up to the Williams, maybe the Williams has caught up to the Alfa Romeo. It's going to be interesting as well to see that one, as we have just about 5 laps to go in the Singapore Grand Prix. And as you can see, is Kaibashimi also retired? Okay, all the last 3 cars have all retired, so I guess all 3 of them are going to be awarded DNFs. Only now I noticed that Kaibashimi is also a ghost car. So yeah, Lormans, Kaibashimi and Superior GR have disconnected from the lobby, so we pretty much only have 9 drivers racing. But still, I'm not sure if any of these drivers are going to be awarded 10th place and therefore going to be able to gain points. Kawashimi, 3-second time penalty, so no, he's probably not disconnected. He's just ghosted because he's the lapped car and he's close to Endinator. That's probably the case. So yeah, Kawashimi is not disconnected from the lobby, as we have yellow flags in Sector 3 and Sector 1, so not sure exactly who that might be. But yeah, not sure exactly who that might have been, but the situation has been cleared nonetheless. So the drivers are going to be able to continue on their merry way. 4 laps to go here at the Marina Bay Circuit. Kruzix might very well be on his way to the first win of the season. Kawashimi kindly tells me in chat that he's not disconnected. I mean, yeah, I guess he has the time to do so. 20 seconds to the car ahead. A lot of time to the car behind. He has lap superior GR, I believe. And Lormans is just a ghost, so Kawashimi is going to get awarded the P10, but nonetheless, so I guess Kawashimi does have the time to tell us in chat that he is not disconnected. But yeah, he is ghosted, probably because he's a lapped car and he's close to one of the lead lap cars. And that's just a new feature that was introduced in a recent patch. Holy hell! That was almost tragic. Because Marky Mark really checked up on Rocky. Rocky is lucky that Rocky was already pulling his car to the left-hand side. Because if he had to react, Rocky would already be in the back. Oh, it's his mom type. Okay, okay. Thank you for the clarification. But yeah, Marky Mark really backed up quickly on Rocky, and Marky Mark is actually losing out a lot. Oh, Bird is going to the pizza again. What is this man doing? Doesn't he have the fastest lap already? Oh no, it's Rocky who has the fastest lap. So okay, I guess Bird just wants the fastest lap. He prefers having the fastest lap to finishing in the top 5, which is an interesting position. So we have 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and he's going to be pushing the wheels out of that car, trying to claim himself the point, the extra point of the fastest lap, and also trying to catch up to J. Cole in Blitzkrieg. I mean, it is feasible, considering it is the soft tires, very late in the race, 4 seconds from J. Cole, who is on mediums that usually have their end of life at about lap 10, 11. So that's usually the pit stop, lap 10, 11, 12. You can extend them a little bit more if you are a bit better on them, but yeah, those mediums are definitely not at peak performance at this point. So Bird is definitely having like a 5 lap window of just outright pushing. You can see J. Cole is just at the end of that straight at the other end of the Anderson Bridge there. So J. Cole, he needs to start looking on his mirrors. He's going to try to catch up to Blitzkrieg, who has actually not been able to catch up to Black Panthers as I was expecting, especially as his tires are starting to deteriorate. Those hards do last a long time, so I guess at this point Black Panther's tires are in better state than the William driver's tires. Kruzix, though, has been able to keep himself away from Shadow, despite Shadow now having the freedom of not being pressurized by Endinator. He is able to still be quicker than Shadow, which I find surprising because he was not early on the race. So maybe it's just more comfortable on the yards, maybe he had more practice on the yards and is more comfortable with the way the car behaves. Maybe it's just a setup difference, because again, Kruzix was having a very, very tough time overtaking Shadow with the DRS. So that tells me that he had more downforce. So Kruzix might have the advantage on these middle and third sectors. And that's why he's gaining the time. He's gaining time even now. He just gained about 2/10 in the previous sector. So Kruzix, unless he has penalties, which I actually do not believe so. I'm just going to confirm though. Kruzix only had 2 warnings. No penalties for him. And Shadow Also 2 warnings. Andy Nater, does he maintain? Ah, he got a warning. Andy Nater got a warning. He was the only driver to not have even a single warning this race. But yeah, it is what it is. You cannot be that precise for an entire race. Sometimes you can, but at a track like this, it's quite hard. He just got a warning though. No big deal. And he's giving himself a chance. Shadow and Cruisix have 2 warnings, so if any of them slip up, and the Nater is close enough, that is going to pick up the pieces of that. Let's see how that one goes to the end of the races. J. Cole has already gotten overtaken by Bird. Bird is all on the grill now of Blitzkrieg, as Bird gets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:37.4. Ooh, that was very close there, and you can see the difference in traction. Just the power application difference was immense there from Bird. He's really going over the edge, a bit of a tank slapper there as he comes out of turn number 5. Nonetheless, he has already gotten away with it. Andy Nater gets a 3-second time penalty. Andy Nater went from 0 warnings to a penalty before the top 2 drivers, so guess it was just a bit of commentator's curse, which I apologize for. Andy Nater should actually... Andy Nater has 3rd place in lock. Especially now that that he lost out on any possibility of reaching the top 3. He should have pitted. Sorry, of reaching the top 2. He has 37 seconds to the car behind. So just pits, puts a set of soft tires, gets the fastest lap, still gets the extra point. Because he doesn't have a chance of getting P3 unless his rivals like spin, because it won't be from a 3-second time penalty. So yeah, Andy Nater should really just gone for the soft tire, and a bit of I'm not sure. Maybe Andy Nater is having a bit of lack of confidence in himself after the DNF at Italy. I'm not sure, but he really hesitated on pulling the trigger on Shadow, and then Shadow pulled away. He could have even gotten the win. Andy Nater could have overtaken Shadow, then used his ERS for a fast lap, and caught up to Cruisix, and taken the win. So, maybe a lack of confidence there from him, which is unfortunate to see. J. Cole, in the meantime, catches up to Blitzkrieg. Contact between the two, and Blitzkrieg spins! And it just gets reset to the track, which is a bit weird. But yeah, that was a bit of not too much tarmac and too much car there through turn number 5, it looked like to me. Not the cleanest of maneuvers there, unfortunately, but Cole does move to a P6. As there you have it, Cruisix, after all this time, after being so close in so many occasions, he finally gets it. The fireworks light up the sky as Cruisix takes home the win of the Singapore Grand Prix. First win of the season for the Red Bull. First win of the season for the German, and he must be absolutely thrilled with his performance. Shadow, the championship leader, going to come home in P2. Andy Nater going to claim P3. Black Panther in P4. Bird is going to get himself. Did Black Panther got caught up by Bird? If Bird might actually claim P4 if there are any penalties to change the landscape of the circumstances of the table. Ooh, there's a spin for him. Is he actually? No. He was not close enough to get Black Panther, even if Black Panther had penalties. He actually loses out to J. Cole. That's that's the funniest thing ever. J. Cole actually claims P5 from the overconfidence of Bird. Blitzkrieg gets P7. Marky Mark gets P8. Rocky is going to get P9. Kaibashim is going to get P10 because Lormans is going to be declared as a DNF. Shadow, your wheel came loose, so you had to pause the game and tighten it up. That's why Cruisix got past. Oh, I thought you had just gone on the brakes. Because at that time, like, your car just went on the brakes. So I thought you had just gone on the brakes to let him through and try to follow him, and you had just overdone it. But well, it is what it is. That did allow Cruisix to get the first win of the season. He's going to taste that sweet, sweet champagne for the third time this season, as he also has a second place at France and a second place at Hungary on his curriculum. But there you have it, he takes home the top step for once today, as he gets shadowed the championship leader right beside him, and Andy Nater gets back to a third place finish in 4 races. He got himself P3 at Hungary, Belgium, then a DNF at Italy when he was starting on pole, and now back to P3. So actually very good performance from Andy Nater, getting back on form. J. Cole also comes back to the top 5 positions from after a 10th and a 9th place finish at the last 2 races. So also good return to form for the McLarens, and that's really going to help them in the constructors battle. As we have Black Panther separating them in P4, then Bird in P6, Blitzwig in P7, Marky Mark in P8, Rocky in P9. Lormans gets the top 10. That's actually going to be awarded to Kaibashimi, so he's actually going to claim a point at the end of it. He did not get the greatest of starts to the race, got himself collected in some traffic, and unfortunately didn't get the race to come his way. At least he gets a point out of it. As this is it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give me a like button. If you did not, the dislike button is, as always, right beside it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. Hit the bell icon for any notifications of whenever we are about to start a live stream or to post a video. Hope to see you all next race weekend, as we are added to the Sochi Autodrome, home of the Russian Grand Prix. Pretty sure that's also going to be an exciting race. Hope to see you guys there, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.